Greetings, y'all. Welcome to another video. Today, we're doing something sort of special. A couple of years ago, I started doing these record store rewind visit videos. They were about visits to record stores from a few years ago. I was mainly doing those because it was still kind of in the thick of COVID and everything, and a lot of stores weren't open yet. So I just decided I wanted to talk about some record stores that I had been to across the country and was doing those. And I thought I was pretty much done doing those now that everything's back open. But the other day I pulled a CD out to listen to, and the receipt was inside from where I bought it. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to maybe do another video because I really like this store. And so I thought I would do it. The store I'm talking about is Spin Me Round. I've been there twice. This first visit that we're going to talk about today was in 2018. They were in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, in this mall. The mall was like one of those like dead malls. There was like almost no stores open. Spin Me Round was one of the few that was open. It was kind of depressing, but Spin Me Round was, the store in Phillipsburg was awesome. Spacious, tons of CDs, new, used stuff, tons of records, new and used. Just, you know, an amazing shop. Prices were awesome. This is my receipt. I went on September 29th, 2018. You know, a lot of these CDs that I'll be talking about were, you know, like $3, $1, stuff like that. The vinyl I got was pretty cheap too. Just a great store. I discovered them because they do a lot of videos like showing their new stock and stuff they have in the store. And it's like a family that runs this place, and their videos are very entertaining. They're very comical. They're pretty goofy and stuff. I highly recommend checking them out because they're fun to watch. So that's how I discovered them. And when I looked up where they were, and they were in this mall in Phillipsburg, I decided to take a road trip one day because it's kind of far from me, and went up there and just had a great visit, which we'll talk about today. But just point out that the store has since moved from Phillipsburg, New Jersey, that mall. They've moved to a mall across the border in Easton, Pennsylvania. And I've been there as well. And that mall's like, you know, when I visited, it was thriving. It was busy, all filled with stores. And the Spin Me Round there in Easton is awesome. I did a video about my visit there. So you can check that out. I'll put a link down below per usual. So this is my visit in September 2018 to the original spot of Spin Me Round in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. 2017, we get Charlie Bliss and their debut album, Guppy. I bought this at Spin Me Round brand new. This was the only new thing I bought there. I was familiar with this band. I discovered them. They did, AV Club used to do this thing where they'd have bands cover old songs. Charlie Bliss did a cover of that song from the 90s, Steal My Sunshine. And I just remember there was a bit of hype about this band at the time, like, you know, in indie kind of circles. And the lead singer, I think her name's Ava Hendricks. Her voice is very unique. It's kind of like high-pitched, almost like she's been sucking on a helium balloon. Now, I know that sounds probably pretty horrible to say, but my first impressions of her when I heard this cover was that, and I didn't like it, and I found it a little annoying. But as the days went on, I just kept thinking about that song and kind of hearing it in my head, and watched the video a couple more times, and I started to like it. I started to come around, and I started to think it was a pretty good cover, and I started to enjoy the band. And they put out this record, and I remember seeing a video for a song called Percolator, and I really liked that song. So I have this on CD. I may have bought up the CD, and then when I saw the vinyl there at Spin Me Round, picked it up. I don't remember what order I picked these up in, but it's a really good record. I mean, like I said, they're kind of like a alternative band, kind of pop sort of sound to them. A little bit of grunge sound to them as well. And I like them. I've seen them live a couple of times. They've kind of moved, their sound has kind of moved on. There's the vinyl for y'all to check out. Their sound's kind of moved on. I guess their second record Sounded had a little bit more like pop synth kind of sound creeping in. Besides Percolator, I like Westermark, Glitter, Black Hole, and Julia is another tune on here that I like. Yeah, like really kind of catchy, kind of upbeat, poppy kind of sound, and with a little hint of grunge, like I mentioned. 1981, we get Billy Squier and his album Don't Say No. I think this might be his second solo record. Not sure, but you know, Billy Squier was huge in the 80s. Lots of hits, lots of like AOR, like rock radio hits. Took a little bit of a beating in like 84 because of a music video that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. But I stuck with him. I was a fan. I stuck with him through pretty much through the 80s. And then after that, he kind of, you know, stopped recording a lot. You know, maybe it made an album or two into the 90s, but just slowed up. His production really slowed up. It's a good record. He had a great catalog. On this one, you've got In the Dark, The Stroke, My Kind of Lover, and Lonely as the Night. I mean, all of those are just classics. All of them got tons of airplay back then, you know, but yeah. Really good pickup. I like this one. 1987, we get Robbie Robertson's self-titled album. I'm not sure. I'm not a huge fan. I don't know all the history, but Robbie Robertson from the band, this might be his like solo debut. I think this is his debut solo album. I remember when this came out back in the 80s, and I remember it was kind of a big deal that this was coming out. So it seemed to me it was like one of those albums that people were kind of like really anticipating because maybe this was his first solo record that he'd ever put out. And I remember like one or two of the songs back then and liking them, but never had any interest in picking up the album. But saw it there at Spin Me Round. It may have been in the dollar bin. I don't remember, but I know it wasn't much. It was $1 or $2, and just decided to pick it up. And it's pretty good. I mean, it's co-produced by Danielle Lanois, who did a lot of work with like U2 and stuff in the 80s. And U2 and Peter Gabriel appear on the album. And it's good. And it sounds quite a bit like the stuff U2 and Peter Gabriel were doing in the 80s. It's got that same kind of sound. Even like Eric Clapton, like 80-ish kind of sound, like 80s kind of sound to it. But it's good, you know, I like it. There's some really good tunes on here, including Showdown at Big Sky. That's the one I really remember from the 80s. Sweet Fire of Love is the one U2 co-wrote and appear on. And Somewhere Down the Crazy River is another one I really like. That one's almost like spoken word. He's kind of just talking the lyrics, but it's got a good catchy chorus. But yeah, good record. I like this. 1990, we get No Vacancy by the Motels. This is a best of collection by the Motels. I've mentioned this a million times on here. A few years ago, I just kind of got really into 80s new wave stuff that I really had no interest back in the 80s, and started picking up a lot of CDs and albums by those artists. Saw this there. I'm pretty sure this was in the dollar bin and grabbed it. You know, I knew a couple of the hits by the Motels, and that was all. And just decided to grab this. It was cheap, like I said, and figured if I'm paying $1 or whatever for this, worst case, you know, I got 2 or 3 hits that I know, and that'll cover the price. But it's really good. Martha Davis, who was the lead singer, has got a very strong voice, and you know, this surprised me because I almost expected just the hits to be the standouts, but there's a handful of other tracks on here that I like as well, including Danger, Little Robbers, Kicks, Icy Red, and then their real popular songs that a lot of you probably remember from the 80s, Only the Lonely, Suddenly Last Summer, and Shame are on here as well, of course. But yeah, it's really surprised me. I really ended up liking this a lot more than I thought I would. 1993, Billy Joel and River of Dreams. Speaking of albums that are a lot better than I expect them to be, we got River of Dreams. I'm sure you're all familiar with Billy Joel. You all know him, been around forever, tons and tons of big hit songs. And this is an album that I'm sure most of you, like me, always find in like Goodwills or dollar bins or whatever. I really liked the title track when it came out in '93. I always liked that song, but never thought to pick up the album. I'd call myself a casual fan of his. I have one or two of his albums. But again, you know, saw this there, $1. Seemed like if I was going to ever pick it up, that was the time to do it. $1. All the lyrics and everything in here. It's all folded out. So yeah, I'll give you a little glimpse of all that. His wife, Christy Brinkley, at the time, she did the painting here, the cover artwork. But I feel like this album's kind of like, I know it was somewhat successful. I think it was nominated for some Grammys and stuff, but I feel like it wasn't the big hit that maybe he thought it was going to be. I don't know if that, you know, played into any decisions he had to kind of call it a day on writing or releasing new rock pop albums. But yeah, this album, you know, I kind of didn't expect it to be all that great, because my memory of at the time that nobody really was talking about it all that much. But I like this album quite a bit. Besides the title track, No Man's Land is really good. Great Wall of China, Blonde Over Blue, All About Soul, and Famous Last Words is another one that I really like. Yeah, it really surprised me. I like this one quite a bit. 1995, Big Audio Dynamite, Planet Bad, Greatest Hits. This covers both Big Audio Dynamite and Big Audio Dynamite 2. Everybody knows is Mick Jones from The Clash formed this band. Don Letts originally was in the band, but then I think he split. Mishmash of genres, can't really pigeonhole them into one specific genre. This, again, I think this might have been $1 or $1.99, and seemed like a really good collection of songs. My favorite tune by Big Audio Dynamite, Champagne, is not on here, unfortunately, but the rest of it is really good. This one, like Billy Joel, folds out like this crazy long thing. Try to show y'all the little pictures in the booklet. But yeah, like I said, great collection of tunes on here. Besides their big hits, The Globe and Rush, you get The Bottom Line, E = MC Squared, Contact, Harrow Road, and also I Turned Out a Punk is another track on here that I like. Yeah, good collection here from Big Audio Dynamite. 2004, we get Sahara Hot Nights, Kiss and Tell. Now, I'm a big fan of Sahara Hot Nights. Got all their stuff, vinyl, CDs, all that stuff. And in Europe, they've released, some of their records have had like different artwork and everything. Kiss and Tell's got a different, this is the release version that came out. That's the cover art. This is different, as you can see. This is actually not a European release. This is a promo release. I don't know if maybe this was the proposed cover art and they changed it to the other stuff, or what the story was behind that. But I like this band so much, I pick up all this random stuff by them, saw this in there, and again, I think this was really pretty cheap, $1 or $1.99, so I just decided to have it for my collection. It's not something I needed, but just thought it'd be kind of cool to have in here. But no booklet, just this. Like I said, it's a promo copy. They never, most of the time with promo copies, they didn't really go all out with that kind of stuff. But this is an awesome band, awesome album. They kind of started off as like a punk band. By the time this album comes out, they're sort of getting some more pop elements into the equation, and really like this album quite a bit. My favorite tracks on here are Who Do You Dance For, Hot Night Crash, Walk on the Wire, Keep Calling My Baby, The Difference Between Love and Hell, and Hangin'. Those are my favorite tracks, although I like this whole album through and through. I don't think there's a bad track on here. 2009, we get Cut Off Your Hands in the album You and I. New Zealand band, this is their debut. I discovered them, I saw their video for Oh Girl on New York Noise, and really liked it, and found the album years later at Spin Me Round, picked it up. It's kind of interesting, little cutout. You don't really see that too much these days. But yeah, really good band. Kind of alternative indie rock band. Kind of fast tempo love songs, you know, or you know, broken heart kind of songs. A lot of them sound like. But yeah, really good stuff on here. Happy as can be. Turn cold. It doesn't matter. Let's get out of here. And still fond. Even some of those titles can kind of tell you there's some like heartbreak going on here though, right? But yeah, really cool band. I got like a couple of singles by them, but I don't have any other albums. I should maybe kind of keep an eye out for them. 1983, we get Bow Wow Wow. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. This is the final album featuring the 4 original band members. If you're familiar with Bow Wow Wow, you probably know I Want Candy. That's all I knew. And then, like I'd mentioned before, I got into started getting into 80s new wave stuff and picking up things. One thing I picked up a couple of years ago was a Best of Bow Wow Wow CD, and really opened my eyes or ears, whatever, to how good this band really is. So started picking up some of their stuff. Saw this at Spin Me Round. It was only like $3, I think, and it's in really good condition. So so I grabbed it, and yeah, I really like it. I mean, they kind of similar in a way to Big Audio Dynamite. They kind of got like a mishmash of styles going on here, but you know, everybody thinks of them as kind of like a new wave band. It's interesting on the liner notes here, they put Kiss for Jim, Honeyman Scott from the Pretenders, and John Belushi, who both of them had passed away. But yeah, just really, really dig this band. Like, you know, it's when I got that Best of CD and I listened to it, it really surprised me because I really didn't expect to care much for it. But it's just a great collection of tunes on here. Aphrodisiac, Do You Want to Hold Me, What's the Time, Hey Buddy. Ricky D is really cool too. I mean, so many of these songs that they that are on their albums, it just shocks me that they didn't have more success here in the States. You know, besides I Want Candy, that was it, you know, for them here in the United States. But just a really cool band. It just surprised me they didn't have more success. But yeah, this is everything I picked up that day. My first visit to Spin Me Round at their old location. Check them out if you're in the Easton, Pennsylvania area. By all means, check them out. Just a cool shop, Spin Me Round. Can't say enough good things about it. It's kind of far for me, but maybe once a year or so I try to get up that way to visit them. But you know, can't say enough good things about them. So thanks for tuning in. If you've ever been to Spin Me Round, by all means, let me know how you enjoy the store, and we'll see you next time. Later on, y'all.